Going to start with the Irish Independent, except I just don't have it at the moment. Oh, do you have it? Might it be? Oh, I do have it, yeah. So they're living with McIlroy in the back of it there. McIlroy in no mood to talk after open crash. That's because obviously he shot an 80, his worst round ever in the US Open. Worst round ever, Kenny.
Don't rule him out. Don't rule him out.
Series defeat would spoil Grand Slam season, warns Joe Schmidt. I mean,
No, of course it wouldn't.
Would a series defeat to Australia ruin a Grand Slam season?
Of course not. That's a ridiculous thing to say.
I think it's the manner. To me, the manner of the defeat, I would think. And Ger, I think. When's the second test? Is it
next? It's Saturday, and then the third test is. So it's 3 Saturdays in a row, and we're 1-0 down.
For me, it's always about performance. It's no look going to Australia and getting beat over the course of 3 tests. There's certainly no humiliation, but I think it's how you get beat on.
Yeah, it probably is, but like they would have to get absolutely walloped for everybody to look back and say the Grand Slam was some sort of fake moments. Like, how did Ireland get on the Summer Tour 2009? I don't remember. Does anybody remember how to get on in that?
No Summer Tour in 2009.
Well, okay, it was a Lions Tour. Good point. Yeah, I forgot about that. And obviously there isn't a big cultural reference when it comes to the other Grand Slams. The other one, I'm sure you won't be able to tell me what happened on that occasion. But anyway, the point is that it doesn't matter. Like, the Grand Slam will be remembered regardless of what happens.
Yeah, it's a historic achievement because we do it so rarely. However, if the season is going to be ruined by losing the Test series at the end, according to the head coach, then why didn't you pick your best team for the first game?
But it's all about building, Jerry, isn't it? It's all about building towards the World Cup, really, isn't it?
So then this isn't true. Like,
exactly.
You're right. If that's the argument, is that I don't really give a shit about this Test series because it won't ruin it, and he's just trying to ramp up the pressure on the players. Is that it? To like go, come on, go with it. You got to get with it.
I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, that group of players has been the level that rugby they've been playing for the last couple of years has been ridiculous. Like, you know what I mean? I hardly think you got to take out the stick and start beating those players. And start playing those psychological mind games with players of that quality. The level they've been playing it now, they'll be if their standards have dropped, they'll know. They don't even have to be reminded. Let me
explain a little bit better what I'm trying to say. Is that like this? If you've picked a team which is clearly not your first team for the first, and it's about building, then everybody is kind of going, well, does this matter as much as a World Cup quarter-final? So you're trying somehow to replicate the situation where it's a must-win game, and that's what this is about. It's not a stick to beat them, but it's like trying to create that sense of tension and pressure. Every team meeting is a big game team meeting this week, as opposed to, well, it's an end of season tour to Australia, and he's trying out some new players and new combinations, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. But you're questioning the kind of the application of the players there in terms of he needs to generate that kind of dynamic, that mindset, because players can't do it themselves, or they can't get themselves to that level where they can operate at the level which they need to, which invariably they have done over the past couple of years on a regular basis. And you're saying it's not a must-win game. Well, it isn't. It's all about building towards the World Cup. So the players realise the significance of the game. Yes, it's a game they want to win. I'm sure they want to keep that level of consistency. That's just personal, kind of a personal, collective pride which they'll have. But it's all about building, surely, in terms of what's coming down the road.
Yeah, like I also think that's you're both right. That's exactly what he's trying to do here, is just to send out a message to the squad. But was there any need to do this, given the fact that Jacob Stockdale and Sean Cronin have been ruthlessly axed from the squad? Okay, Stockdale has been kind of discussed with Alan Quinlan yesterday. It's not really a ruthless axing on the level of Sean Cronin, which is brutal the way he's been booted out of the squad. Stockdale was kind of a situation where, okay, we're going to give somebody else a run and we want somebody more of a utility back on the bench. But I think the team selection really sends out a message to everybody saying nobody's place is safe here, and you've got to be on your toes a little bit.
Yeah, or like I have people who I'm going to scapegoat for this, so beware, I could scapegoat you next. Like, Sean Cronin has been scapegoated for the loss of the scrum. The other 2 props who are on the field at that point are starting this week.
Is that a reputational thing, I wonder? Is it a reputational thing that something went wrong in the scrum in a game involving Sean Cronin, and Joe Schmidt thought to himself, right, Sean Cronin was involved, it must be him, rather than the other people whose reputation would suggest that they're some of the best scrummagers in the world? I don't know.
Certainly it seems like one individual has been selected for a systems failure where it's 8 people pushing in the scrum and he's not in the squad this week. As a matter of interest, right? If a team sport, you suffer a defeat and one person carries the can for that, what's the atmosphere like amongst your teammates in the immediate aftermath? Are you like, well, that's not very fair? Or are you kind of going, well, I better make sure it's not me. Or is it a bit of both?
It can be. It's interesting. Like, yeah, I mean, obviously Smith's closest to the players. He's on the training pitch. He's around them, so he can sniff, he can smell out any kind of, even the hint of a bit of complacency. He's the one best placed. And you might be right. It may be a case of that. He may be just sensing something. Maybe he just needs to crack the whip and maybe make an example of something. You've got to be careful though a little, because if the lads think that it's unwarranted and it's unjustified in what he's doing, that's a tight unit there. If they feel as if one of their teammates is being hard done by, it can almost have the opposite effect. The lads might think, well, hold on, this is unfair. Well, I'm not happy with this. It might create a different type of dynamic in the squad that you're not kind of looking for. Maybe a bit of distance, a disconnect between the management, the manager, and the players, which you don't want either. So you've got to be very careful. I certainly wouldn't criticise Smith. I would have thought, well, what's his reputation in terms of, as a man manager, in terms of like the technical side of the game, how he sets the team up, how they play the rugby, but in terms of how he interacts with the players individually, the group dynamic, what's the...
Ruthless enough, I would have thought. Like, obviously we don't know. We'd probably know a lot better in a few years' time when like books have been written and things like that. But a ruthless approach is certainly the Joe Schmidt way, is what we've heard, and that has to be the way to achieve what he's achieved for sure. No loyalty is shown to any sort of player. Maybe on a level, maybe somebody, if you get somebody's level of like Johnny Sexton or something like that, you might be afforded a little bit more loyalty. But even then, it's kind of like whatever your performance is, whatever your form is, whatever you're showing on a data level, that's what they'll go with.
But on a personal level, like on a human level with the players, how does he interact?
We had Brian O'Driscoll in last week, and I was kind of asking him about, because famously Bill Belichick, if he bumps into you in the corridor, he'll stop you, and it's like an immediate quiz. It's like, with this play, what's going to happen in that one? If this, in this situation, what are you playing? And he was like, oh Jesus. And it's not quite the same, but Brian O'Driscoll said, at dinner time, players aren't gravitating over to sit beside him and have a chat about rugby, because he's all rugby all the time. So you come down, I expect, and it's like, oh, there's the boss. I'm just gonna go. I'm on the phone.
I think players appreciate. It's obviously one of the factors why they've got to the level that they have. That kind of meticulous approach, that kind of obsessive nature that the manager has. But for me, like, there has to be a bit of a cut-off point. You have to kind of park that at some point to be able to interact with your players on more of a human level. All right, how's it going? How's the family, kid? What are you up to? Boom, that type of thing.
Yeah.
That kind of dynamic works kind of better for me. That kind of pulls the players in even more so.
Especially long term, when you consider that the next World Cup is in Japan, everybody's going to be very far from home. It's not like you're going to be wandering out and kind of...
No, it's true. That comes back to the kind of environment, I suppose, you're looking to create around the players. And part of that is I think as a manager, is your persona, your personality, how you project yourself around the squad.
Well, one significant criticism of the team that has maintained is that they are still very pre-programmed, and even last week against an Australian team who had worked out what our main attacking threat was, they were a bit stuck. They kept doing the same stuff. We kept kicking the ball to Israel Folau, who is like considered to be the best player in the world at fetching high balls, and we kept doing the same thing, as opposed to...
That's been one of our strengths though, Jared, isn't it? You know more than me in terms of, but surely that's been one of our strengths, how consistent that we are. We play our own way, and we're pretty ruthless, and we kind of we kind of wear teams down.
What Leinster have been able to do is to evolve from that point where it's far more... the Stuart Lancaster's line has always been comfortable in chaos. So if there's chaos around... Great, that's what we wanted. We wanted their defence to be unstructured, our attack to be unstructured, and everybody at that point feels like, okay, we've got an opportunity here, as opposed to with Ireland, it's like, oh, it's broken down, let's go again and do the same thing. And against the very best teams in the world, which we are now in Australia.
We've been beating the very best teams in the world the last couple of years, though, Jay, playing that type of rugby, surely, though. It's hard to get off the back of one defeat to start like questioning the kind of
but actually doing it
tactics.
in the Southern Hemisphere is an entirely different scenario. Like obviously we came so close to the series win in South Africa in 2016. The Australia win was in Dublin, the All Blacks win was in Chicago. I would certainly lend a lot more credence to the idea of going to the Southern Hemisphere and beating these teams. The converse of it at all is that it's technically not going to be in the Southern Hemisphere. It's not going to be in their own patch when it comes to 2019. It's going to be in Japan, and it's neutral venue and all that.
Closer to there than us, though, right?
It is, geographically. So I don't know, when it comes to the World Cup, it certainly seems that no matter where it's on, the Southern Hemisphere kind of hoodoo seems to prevail a little bit when it comes to Ireland. I don't know. It's like maybe all that is nonsense. Maybe it's going to be a completely different sort of environment for everybody come 2019.
That's the lead story in the back of the Times Ireland edition today. Schmidt, we cannot spoil our good run. And then obviously it's a picture of Denis Cherchychev, who scored twice in the 5-0 win for Russia yesterday. Good goals in the game yesterday. Like,
Haven't seen him yet.
That's what you want.
I saw Robbie Williams belting out Angels before I left the house, and I thought, really?
Yeah.
Angels, is that the most appropriate? You know what I mean? Opening ceremony of it. Angels.
It's his biggest song.
I'm trying to think of the song. Does that eventually? It's like, you know, it's not really, is it?
Well, it is one of his most famous songs.
It is, yeah. But in terms of kind of, you know, really vamping it up and getting everybody up, bouncing around the stadium.
The thing
Angels, really?
Well, I guess it is the year 2018, and that entire set could have been played in 2001. Really?
I wasn't sure about it. I caught a bit of it. I tell you, it looked a bit odd to me. Robbie Williams looked a bit odd there. That didn't.
I missed Robbie Williams, I'm not going to lie. It's like 10 to 4. I was like, I better stick this on. And caught about the 25 minutes of Vladimir Putin's speech, which lasted forever.
Yeah.
What the hell? Now, I couldn't hear it because the kids were screaming, but like, what was he even saying?
I'd have no interest in terms of what.
Was this really dull English translation? Yes, you are watching the World Cup in Russia. It will be good. I was like,
I drifted at that point. I just started scrolling through Twitter instead of actually watching the speech because the translation was so boring and what he was saying was so boring. But you know, fair dues to Gianni Infantino for stepping up afterwards and keeping his speech concise in 2-3 minutes.
Did he? Yeah, like
something like that. Yeah, he's in a rather compromising position, isn't he? He kind of seems like a man who's like, how the hell did I get here? Every single time he turns around, he's like, whoa, I'm beside two of the most powerful men in the world.
Yeah. Should I invest in oil? Is the price of oil going to go up or down, lads? What do you think?
Did I see a fist pump at some point before I left?
Between Putin and
Bin Salman. Yeah, it's... Mohammed bin Salman,
if Putin offers you a fist bump in Russia, do you leave him hanging?
If anybody could, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia probably could. I would have thought for the reasons you've just said in terms of oil prices.
I'm not big into conspiracies when it comes to different superpowers in the world and their interest in certain wars. But I'm pretty sure Putin and bin Salman are on opposite sides of the war in Syria. If I'm not mistaken, there completely, and they're just there fist pumping at a football match. They're like, life worked out pretty good for us.
FIFA bringing the world together, and maybe anyway. Right, open and shut. This is the Examiner. Rory McIlroy, first round of 80. Jeez, you wouldn't want to back him, especially not when he was already 5 over.
After it's 3.
Myler's mantra, the objective is to beat Waterford and not to be thinking about what's going on in Ennis. This is John Myler, the Cork hurling manager. And then the new Premier League fixtures were out yesterday. And guess what? Jose Mourinho already has a cause. He is already pissed off. Liverpool have 6 home matches.
Don't even say
after their Champions League games.
I think the fixtures are just so... I can't believe how excited people get about the fixtures. It's like the fixtures are out. We've got 19 games home and away over the course of the season. Well, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Whether the Liverpool game comes in the first weekend, the second or the third, really.
Although,
does it really matter?
Spare thought for Arsenal, who start with City and Chelsea in their first 2 games.
Yeah. I guess for the fans who are on the ground...
You know, everybody's like, oh, bloody hell.
Like, for people who are going to away matches every second week, it's kind of like, oh, cool, we're going to be in whatever Newcastle around Christmas time. That'll be a good day out kind of thing.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand from a supporter's perspective, all right. But, you know, just generally, the kind of big headlines, we've got a game at home on the first weekend. And guess what? We're going to be away in the second weekend. No, I just can't.
Like, except for Spurs fans, really, isn't it? Because their new stadium isn't going to be ready for quite some time. So they're like, 4 away games to start the season off.
My favourite story today is about Boris Becker, right? Boris Becker, the 3 times...
You're not going to give him a kicking. You're not going to give him a kicking.
No, I think of all the lives that have been lived by anybody, Becker's is the one that... the only one that I would think, I wouldn't mind just strolling into those shoes for a while and seeing what the hell happened here, because like it's ridiculous, right? The 3-time Wimbledon tennis champion was declared bankrupt last summer, and earlier this year launched an appeal to find his missing trophies and to try and pay off £54 million of debts. How the fuck do you get 54 million in debt? Anyway, right, Becker's bankruptcy followed a 20 million divorce and paternity settlements with his first wife Barbara and Angela Ermakova, a Russian model, as well as a 2-year suspended sentence for tax evasion. Germany's Der Spiegel magazine claimed that Becker may have lost his 100 million fortune in part because of questionable investments in the Nigerian oil industry. He did not comment on the claim. But the reason this is in the papers today is because diplomatic immunity, bitches. He's become a cultural ambassador for the Central African Republic, and so therefore is immune from prosecution. So they can't chase him for the 54 million. It's
not a resident, just an ambassador.
Yeah, just an ambassador. Like he's
surely he can't get off on that technicality. You're an ambassador.
A sporting, cultural, and humanitarian affairs attaché for the Central African Republic. Boom.
He's like, my one piece of business advice to Boris Becker is don't invest in Nigerian oil, invest in Nigerian princes. They will never let you down.
Who had the Becker story recently that we were talking to? There was somebody who was working in a hotel. What was the story? It came up recently, and Becker was hanging out with a prince from a country. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Now it makes a lot of sense. Boris knew what he was doing. All he needs is one of those little diplomatic passports, and it's like...
But it's always sunny side up with Becker, isn't it? I'll give him credit. I mean, he's obviously going through, and it has been for some years. But when you hear him interviewed, and never down on himself, never plays the old self-pity card. He, always looks quite dapper, and happy with himself, happy with life. That type of the glass is half full rather than half empty. Give him a bit of credit.
Yeah, he needs to get himself some Bitcoin or something to get those funds right back up there.
Well, that bubble may have burst.
He needs to squeeze in between the Saudi Arabian prince and Vladimir Putin, one of the World Cup games. He needs a few connections.
He needs to buy some Irish property from the glossy, how many pages? 24-page full broadsheet.
It's got to be said, you brought that in.
Thick,
and issued some Dory economic forecast for the Irish property market, which kind of... me and Eoin dived in there, and we've actually come to an agreement potentially on a property down the southwest of Ireland. We've picked one out.
We're going halves on a mansion in Kenmare for about €500,000.
4.5 acres, backing onto the loch. You can walk out to an island at low tide. Yeah. Not even going to Airbnb, or we're not.
No, we're not going to lease.
It's going to live together.
He can have half of the year. He can have half of the year, and I'll have the other half. Which half of the year do you want?
This is the odd couple.
He's a workaholic. I'll have for about 10 months.
This is definitely.
I'll take the 2 months in the summer.
Sitcom in the making here.
Yeah, exactly. Best of buds, living it up in Kenmare.
What's with the Toblerone? I was tweeting a picture about it earlier on.
Yeah, what is with the Toblerone?
That's a bit of a... I shouldn't really be bringing that on.
My dire economic prognostication. You can feel the quality of the paper. Look at it glistening there in the sunshine. There is a problem with Ireland that we've had before, where everybody got...
It's a weak argument, though. But off the back of a glossy supplement.
I'm telling you, it's a canary in the coal mine. That's all it is. It's
an ominous sign.
Yeah, I'm saying, I'm worried.
If we get that property in Kerry, we're going to ride it out.
Absolutely. Ride through the crash.
Yeah.
That's me done, I think. I've done the Examiner.
Yeah.
I didn't do the Irish Times. She did the Irish Times, really, I suppose. More at stake than points for Spain as they kick off campaign. That game is obviously tonight. And then Russia whipped into frenzy as host nation finds a perfect pitch. I should tell you about the special that we're running with our buddies at Boyle Sports. Check out offtheball.com/Boyle Sports. 25-1 about a goal being scored at any time in the Spain-Portugal game tonight for new subscribers, as long as you click through using the link offthewall.com/Boyle Sports. There are some T's and C's, as in you can only bet €1. So, but still, 25 quid if there's a goal scored. Irish News, one last one. Yeah, Irish News PDF here. Rory suffers as Poulter claims clubhouse lead. Obviously, that went to print a little bit early on, but Ian Poulter is flying. And McGeaney baffled by ref choice. So, Kieran McGeaney, in the piece says, people think I've got a bad reputation with referees. I don't. I mean, I love referees, mostly. But he is pissed off that Sligo, who they're playing, are managed by a man from Tyrone, and the referee is a man from Tyrone.
Tyrone shouldn't be reffing Armagh, full stop.
No, Tyrone and Armagh should be kept separate, like, India and Pakistan, or Turkey and Greece.
Wow, yeah, I didn't know there was a Tyrone man reffing that game. Regardless of the connections with the Sligo...
That doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter.
Come on, it doesn't matter.
I don't think it does matter. I'd never like to hear. For me, it's weakness. If I hear, not saying this in particular, but generally speaking, when I hear managers come out before the game and question the kind of referees' appointments and leads and this and that, for me, it's weakness.
Ferguson did it a fair bit, though, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't like to hear it. I really don't. I much rather you stay away from that completely, because I just think it's maybe in the minds of one or two players just sows the seeds a doubt. Oh, it's all against us. That kind of conspiracy thing. So negative. I just don't like that negative pitch.
Or maybe the referee's thinking to himself, do you think I'm going to be biased towards your opposition? Well, let me show you how unbiased I am, and I'm going to give you loads of frees.
Yeah, you can argue it both ways, absolutely, but I never think you should go there. Never like to see managers go there for that reason. Negative.
Fair enough, yeah.
Very Boris Becker like.
You'd have to assume that they're saying something else in the changing room, though, right? And that the players he's out there going, look, I'm going to get into them this week. You guys just focus on what you're doing. This is my strategy. You explain it to the players, don't you?
Rubbish, yeah, it's rubbish.
I mean, it is rubbish. We accept that.
You know what I mean?
But we have nothing else to talk about.
Property in Kerry. We can talk about property in Kerry all day long.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Just the property show coming to Off the Ball very, very soon. The Racing Post is leading with Royal Ascot, and thankfully they're not talking about drugs and fighting. They're talking about actual horse racing. The Tory raring to go for the week. That means everything. I think Frank the Tory was out for all of Ascot last year, so he's back in the saddle for Royal Ascot, which is coming up. 5-star show from Russia then on the back page. 5-0 to them last night against the poor Saudi Arabia team in the first game of the World Cup 2018. The back page of the Herald says Griezmann's Barca snub. French relief as drama over star forward's future ends with call to stay at Atletico. That was La Decisión. It was on the Movistar network in Spain last night. I'm not sure about you, but it seems to be the exact same title that LeBron James had, which was The Decision on ESPN a few years ago, when he actually kind of had the bombshell ending that he was going to bring his talents to the South Beach and move to Miami Heat. But Griezmann at the end, I'm not sure, was it a bombshell or a non-bombshell that he actually decided, no, I'm going to stay at the Wanda Metropolitano. And
so the story goes that Gerard Piqué's media production company produced a video, and there were two separate endings depending on what way Griezmann was going to decide. What happens if they play the wrong ending out? Like, oh shit, I got the wrong tape. That happens. Sometimes we play the wrong tape here. Sometimes. Once or twice a week. You know, it's like, and suddenly it's like, oh, I'm going to Barcelona. I'm like, no, I don't mean that. But what do you think of this, Kenny? So, like, Griezmann literally, there was 1 million people watched the first teaser, because I'm like, I was on Twitter, it was like, oh, what's this? I didn't even know it was happening, and then suddenly I'm clicking on, and suddenly I'm watching this video. I'm like, I'm not watching this, and then I'm tweeting about not watching it, and I was like, okay, I have to go and watch it.
And then you got rickrolled.
Well, you got rickrolled.
Yeah, so Ger sent me a link to watch the La Decisión last night, and it was just Rick Astley, never going to give you up. in the year 2018, I got rickrolled, Kenny. I may as well just quit now.
There clearly must be an appetite for this type of thing. I suppose we're in the world now, I don't know, social world. I don't know what it is like, but people clearly lap it up, and players are willing to accommodate in profile, self-promotion, whatever it is, the whole thing. I mean, he's staying with Atletico. It's as simple as that.
But the big winners, I think, might be Atletico in a way, because they're like, I'm sure they're encouraging him to do this. It's like, we might not have a new signing this year. Maybe we could hype up the fact that you're basically our new signing, Antoine. It's like, we're going to keep you.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah, I think there's a lot of different things at play there from the players' perspective, from the club's perspective. Oh, without a doubt, they're no fools, but it's a circus. I mean, the story's an interesting one in terms that he stayed. It doesn't surprise me. Like I said, I couldn't really see the Barcelona one myself, personally, the type of player that he is. The way Barcelona are actually set up to play now, Ger, they play with a front two. Messi plays behind a central striker. That's not his ideal position. Griezmann playing as a number 9. He likes to play and drop off. So I couldn't see the natural fit there with
He's
Barcelona.
a replacement for Messi in that team, really.
Yeah, but not next year. He's not.
No, exactly.
That's the point. For the next 2 years.
No, so that's the point. So, like, you can't play Messi and him in the same role.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not ideal, because he's not that natural number 9. He wants to stay high up the pitch, work off the shoulder defenders in behind. He wants a bit more of a free role to drop into those little pockets where Messi does. So that's not a natural combination there. So again, it doesn't surprise me that Barcelona, there's some other clubs around as well. But I just think you sense as if he has got a real attachment to that kind of club, the support base and the manager. So I always felt it was going to be hard for him to extricate himself from that. It's not as if they're sixth in the mid-table, only heading in one direction. They're still a very competitive team.
Is it a worrying trend that in the space of a couple of days we've had Real Madrid announce manager of an international team, and Griezmann focusing on his documentary and pushing his club future literally 2 days before France begin their World Cup? Like,
it's just the nature of the beast nowadays. I know what you mean. It's not the great. It's not, timing isn't the best, but it doesn't matter nowadays, is it? It's a story. Everybody's on it. Everybody wants to put it out there, roll with it, throw it about a bit, and yeah, the normal rules seemingly don't apply anymore in relation to this. I think players, the generation of players nowadays, almost accept it. they can live in that kind of environment. And back in the day, it would have been, oh, this is what's this? This is big disturbance. You know, it's going to affect us. But nowadays, I think players are used to it. You know, the kind of media side of things.
Yeah,
They've got so much access to them. They're very much part of it, these stories. They move these stories themselves. But
also, loads of money changed hands, obviously. It was only on the Movistar networks. That's a mobile phone network. You had to, like, I couldn't watch it.
I think Movistar have a channel in Spain, do they?
A TV channel as well?
I think so, yeah.
Do they?
No? I thought it was on the Movistar TV channel that they were running over there. I could be wrong. My knowledge of flicking through hotel room channels in Spain is quite limited.
If they do, it's the same way that Virgin have TV channels and that.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
But I don't know.
There will be more.
I definitely don't know, Jay. I agree with you.
On the back page of the Mirror, it's The Hills Have Eyes. It's a real horror show for Rory as he hits 10 over at Shinnecock.
Can we let that go? Can we let that story go?
No,
We're going straight into that bookies when I get back.
The thing is, you would be better off putting the money on now. He's probably at, 110, 120 to 1 at this point.
I bet he took that money off, put it straight in his back pocket as well. Joke.
At the back page of the Star is Spanish the Demons. Ramos insists camp is united. We've got no states bid from Diarmuid. Diarmuid Connolly has not applied for a sanction to play in the USA. It's been widely reported that the Boston club had lined up a move for the Dublin Star. Russia 5, Saudi Arabia 0, and bitter hills to swallow. That's Rory McIlroy there. Once again, the same picture doing the rounds. At the back page of The Sun, it's 5-star. Great start, but it's no crowning glory. That's Russia's unbelievable win, really, last night. Salah's golden, says...
No, it's not. Look at it.
But it's 5-star, but it's no crowning glory.
No, read it.
Great start, but it's no crowning glory.
5 what?
Sorry, 5-star. Not 5-star. look at me just rushing my words and not even reading
spot,
the
yeah,
thing.
good spot.
So yeah, 5-star, Kenny.
You get your knuckles wrapped there.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Jeez. Come on, read the headline properly.
Tab of the morning to you.
It probably is, yeah.
You had a great week with the tab of the mornings.
I've had a bad week. I'm just going to move on from the Sun. The Sun's caused me enough pain.
Have a bit of Tober. I'll get a sugar rush.
Yeah, I probably need some sort of injection of sugar at this point. This one I'm pretty sure I can get. High five, says the back of the Guardian. Russia get World Cup off to a flyer.
Ooh, what are they suggesting? High five.
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't dare even be suspicious of that. Southgate set to plump for Henderson over Dyer than is Daniel Taylor's story from Rapinoe. Looks like that's going to be the big team news ahead of Monday. I'm not sure is Marcus Rashford back in fit. That will be the other...
He's not, well, I don't know.
He's not going to start anyway.
They basically leaked the team. It looks like the Telegraph had what they thought was going to be the team. Did we go through it?
You didn't
want me to tell you?
The Telegraph.
You have it. Yeah.
I remember, yeah.
Okay.
Well, you told me a back three of Walker, Stones and Maguire. Wing backs, Ashley Young and Trippier. Young's probably the surprise. A lot of people expected Danny Rose, although probably not, hasn't been match fit, but potentially as the tournament was to go on, he'd probably your best left wing back. So that'd be surprised if Young starts. The midfield three wouldn't be surprised. Henderson, Lingard and Ali, that's probably their strongest midfield three. Henderson just sitting behind the two lads. And then Sterling and Kane up front. A lot of talk of Rashford, but Sterling was always going to get the nod ahead of him up front. Surprise a little bit for me is Dyer. Not that he's not playing in central midfield, because I think he's right to play the one holding midfielder, but I thought he'd drop into the defensive three instead of Kyle Walker. I said it to you earlier, I'm not convinced of Walker in a back three as a defender. I don't trust him. I don't trust him when he plays as a fullback in terms of his positional sense, and certainly in a more central role, particularly against the better sides. I think it could be a problem for them. Yeah,
Tunisia aren't crap. Like, they're not complete rubbish. Like, you're looking like you know a bit more. Maybe you do. Are they rubbish?
Well, their best player is Wabi Kazri, no?
But it's the best player. Like, crappy teams do well in international football because they have a togetherness and
look, I wouldn't be critical of. He's obviously assessed the opposition. They're going to be possession. They're going to be dominating possession. He probably feels if Walker can take it from those deep defensive positions into midfield, kind of very comfortable. So there's a logic to what he's doing. But as the tournament progresses, it'll be interesting to see how he tweaks with that team. The formation won't change. I think he's committed to it, but it'd be interesting when certainly the Belgian game comes along, how he kind of modifies that personnel.
Yeah, he plays his best football in the 3-5-2 himself, obviously. Let's bring in some of the international newspapers. We have the Rush. This is asked first. Silencio se juega. Silent, we're playing. Which I guess is game, match day, time to go. Sergio Ramos, it feels like we're in a funeral parlour when the World Cup is starting. Well, maybe they shouldn't have sacked the manager then. That's that one. Griezmann, intelligent. Pogba, impressionant. Pogba's a huge player. Griezmann is intelligent. Griezmann is a smart boy. The darling of many women. This is the French Football Federation President, Noël Le Graët. I'm in, great by name. Everything is fine. Nothing to see here, says the Moscow Times. Russian police told to only report good news during the #World Cup season. The Russian government waited for the opening day of the World Cup to announce it is raising the pension age for men from 60 to 65, for women from 55 to 63, and increasing VAT. Classic case of burying bad news.
I think Putin announced that in his speech in the Luzhniki Stadium last night, but the translator just missed it.
Yeah.